Hey there, I'm Luke. In today's episode, we will discuss a topic that stirs emotion in people like no other. We are going to cover something that's on everyone's mind, but too often not discussed. Yet it's the cornerstone of almost everything. It affects everyone, and it's everywhere. Labels. Specifically, the labels that we as people place on ourselves and others. From labels in the professions we have, teachers, doctors, psychologists, aides, CEOs, actors, speakers, sanitation workers, construction workers, and mail delivery professionals, to the labels that we use to define the needs and uniqueness of our children in special education, autism, ADHD, ADD, learning disabilities, physical disabilities, and emotional disabilities. And even the labels we place on ourselves: introvert, extrovert, creative, organized, passionate, troubled, worthless, successful, independent, leader, survivor, and victim. Thoughts I've had over the years and in conversations with other parents, this topic comes up time and time again. However, do labels really matter? Can labels be changed? What impact do these things have on us and those surrounding us? Are people treated differently based on the label they have? Are labels a good thing? Or do labels tend to hold us back from our true potential? We are going to deep dive on this topic and more on today's episode of Special Education Decoded. Before we dive into the vital but often under-discussed topic of labels, I'm hoping you can help. On the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you will see a little logo with the word subscribe on it. Click that real quick. Thank you so much. Like most people, I spent most of my life not really thinking twice about the impact labels have on us. I've often considered myself to be an extrovert, but with introverted tendencies. For me, it wasn't until the school system wanted to place the label of autism on my son that I really began to think about the massive impact labels carry on all of us. Sure, we can say that labels don't define people, people define themselves, but is that really the case? Do you look at the CEO of McDonald's through the same lens as the cashier that takes your order? Do you view the superintendent at a school in the same light as a first-year classroom aide? Let's first take a deeper look into labeling within our education system. Specifically, two different areas: the pros of using labels in the education system and the cons of using labels in the education system. Let's start with the pros of using labels in the education system. Number one, labels help to ensure children get the service they need to succeed. Labels help easily identify children as new candidates if new services become available. Allows for an individualized education plan, or IEP. Parents can more easily find outside resources to help. And finally, a label often quickens the path toward success. Now let's move on to the cons of using labels in the education system. Children tend to own the label. Being labeled often leads to identification based on the label, not the person. Labeling may become overused within society. Overuse leads to resource drain within the school system. As an example, hastened diagnosis could lead to children or adults receiving the wrong services. Think about it. When our generation was in school 20, 30, 40 years ago, very few children were labeled with things such as learning disabilities. Was that a good thing? Or is it better today with a steep increase of children being diagnosed with a specific learning disability? Well, it truly depends on your perception. The list of pros and cons of labeling I just covered is an indication as to some serious challenges that are happening today. Many of us grew up without a label that, if we were in school today, we would most likely have had. I often believe, as an example, that I may have a variation of ADD or attention deficit disorder. If I had been labeled with that disability in my younger years, would my life be different? Would it have been better because I may have received some additional services during my academic journey that ultimately increased my performance? Or would I have looked at myself differently and perhaps chosen to allow this diagnosis to own my decisions instead of me owning my circumstance? I'm not sure, and truly we'll never know, but it's something to consider. Up to this point, we've discussed labels in general, along with their pros and cons specific to the school system. Next, let's discuss a little about how labels affect us all, and if we aren't careful, can lead to something called limiting beliefs. First, let's define limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are beliefs that constrain us in some way. Just by believing in them, we can think, do, or say the things that ultimately inhibit our lives. In simple terms, limiting beliefs are thoughts about ourselves that hinder our ability to reach our full potential. Here's an example. If we are constantly told by people that we aren't smart, we may begin to believe that it's true. Then, we could make decisions that support this belief, such as refrain from college because, well, I wouldn't be successful anyway. Or not try as hard on tests in school, thinking, what's the point anyway? Or perhaps don't even consider trying for a work promotion since I would never get it anyway. With that mindset, it's logical that long-term depression and the feeling of inadequacy will creep in and stay. With depression, substance abuse could pop up in order to cope with these long-term feelings. And finally, we would never allow for the possibility that everyone was wrong and we truly are smart. We all know people like this, folks that are so hard on themselves and so negative towards everything, it's tough to even be in the same room. It truly is a hard reality to swallow, the side effects labels from the education system can create. But it's the truth. We've all seen it. So, what can be done? How can people experience the pros of labels while avoiding the cons, including limited beliefs? Well, let's go through a few ideas. We could start by making labels temporary. Give people the ability to test out of them. Create intensive programs designed to speed up this process. Realizing this idea would not be possible for all disabilities. We could also try and totally eliminate labels and instead base services on ability or strengths, starting with bringing back advanced classes in all grades and go all in on a person's strongest area. Another option is to transform the school system to include self-help classes, starting with teaching children about limiting beliefs. Set up a reward system for children with the ability to test out of a lower class or curriculum. The truth is, even some of the subjects taught today are outdated. When have you used geometry or algebra in your life? Unless, of course, you're an engineer or something similar. Plenty of room for this subject, along with financial literacy, which, well, it's a topic for another video. To sum it up, we could focus on classes that actually will help you succeed in life. Finally, I mentioned this before, but we could allow children to focus 100% of their strengths, not constantly harping on their weaknesses. Everyone is born with different gifts. It's time we recognize this and allow our kids the room to succeed in their gifts instead of making them feel inadequate due to their challenges. Let me say that again in a little different way. Our school system is designed to focus on weaknesses while allowing our children's amazing strengths to either lay dormant or even wither away. If a child excels in reading but is behind in math, math is a subject where they receive additional help, more focus, and increased praise for their achievements. Think about your favorite teacher from school. What made them great? Why do you remember them after all of these years? Is it because they pushed you to get better in an area where you were weak? Or did they believe in you and push you to be extraordinary in an area of strength? In short, labels are a massive part of our society and will not be going away. However, it's important to ensure our children know the truth. Labels should never define someone's life. We need to teach our children that they can indeed do anything they want to. There truly are no limits. History is riddled with people who were told they wouldn't amount to anything. Yet, through their own persistence, and in some cases, a single person in their corner, they literally changed the world. From Henry Ford, Albert Einstein, Helen Keller, and countless more, the facts present the power of beliefs. Think about this the next time you hear your child say they can't or they aren't good enough. Even more powerful would be to catch yourself saying these things and believing that you can achieve something. If you have questions or want some guidance designing a plan to help your child destroy their limiting beliefs and shatter the perception of their label, we can help. The best part? It's 100% free to get started. Just check the description of this video for a link and you'll be well on your way. I hope this video helped you understand better how labels affect us all and open your mind to ideas that will help ensure your child isn't affected by theirs. If you have any additional questions, please leave a comment and I'd be happy to answer those for you. From all of us at specialedresource.com, thank you for watching this episode of Special Education Decoded. We'll catch you in the next video.